have taken place for today. A little bit different than what we expected, but we are going to be casting the Reason Gaming versus Complexity Gaming matchup here. It was originally going to be the Sync versus Mystery Gang matchup, but they had to postpone to Thursday, and the matches basically swapped in the end. So anyways, we got a great series here, obviously. Both of these are round of 4 matchups. One today, one on Thursday, and then advancing on further into the weekend, as you see here on your screen. You go to Hauntour.com. You can check this out for yourself as well on the Onslaught 2 tab and get that playoff information. But it's your basic 4-team double elimination bracket is what it comes down to. Anyways, this is now going to start being best of 3, of course, with it being the bracket stages. So again, excited for that, if anything, but definitely this should be a good one. We are coming off these two teams playing against each other just yesterday, in fact, and their second game ended up being nearly an 80-minute match. So we could be in for a longer match here. Would not be surprised, but definitely expecting a good one. With that said, my co-caster for today, he happened to be joining me yesterday as well for that. Znui, back once again. How's it going?
It's going good. Playoffs started off here, and I'm excited to see these two teams once again. Now when it's the playoffs as well, I feel like these guys are gonna step it up one level and just play super serious. So if they got something up their sleeve, now is the time to bring it out. And well, judging from the series yesterday, I would say that we don't really have a favorite or an underdog here today. Just about any team can take this victory. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to come down a lot to the draft and, of course, the mentality of their teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, considering how yesterday, again, really nothing was on the line, especially for that second game at that point. There was nothing. The seeds were already figured out. They already knew that they were going to be playing each other in the first round of the brackets, yet they gave us an epic battle amongst one another. So now imagine putting something on the line here, of course. This is for advancing on into the bracket. Yes, it is a double elimination, but, of course, you do not want to get bumped down, as then it makes the trek that much longer. So anyways, the draft already well developed right here, so let's go ahead and look at what we're dealing with as far as how things go. So I did have to rejoin, so as far as the initial bans go, not 100% sure. I want to say it was Oogie Clanks, Warbeast, and I think Ravener. Yeah, I believe those are the bands there. So those are the initial bands that went into Parasite, Moira, Behemoth, Midas, Swiftblade, and Tempest. And then we see the follow-up bands here. But that Parasite first pick coming out for a reason once again.
Yeah, that's what happened in the 2 games yesterday as well. For Reason's size, they're always first picking this hero, and Complexity, well, they didn't have an answer to the Parasite in either game yesterday. So I really hope that they have learned a lesson and actually pick up a hero that's either good with an Alchemist Bones or something that can actually deal with those Parasite catapults, or when he infests the catapults, because that turned out to be a big problem in yesterday's series.
Yeah, and I mean, you see over here on the Hellborn side, I mean, Complexity, the idea of the Alchemist Bones could be possible, but still nothing just yet that really is screaming counter against Tankafet and his Parasite, so we'll see how Complexity does ultimately address that. I mean, Cthulhu was not banned, so...
No, I would be so surprised if we don't see the Cthulhu in the last 2 picks. I mean, he can be run as a suicide.
True.
I almost feel like they should pick him up. I think it's a good hero in general. Like, it's just, I mean, especially if you combine it with some kind of early aggression. Like, he's just a tanky presence that you really need. He can even tank the towers himself. So, let's see here. I'm not sure if Oscar is actually comfortable playing the hero, though. I mean, you need a little bit of practice with the trample at least, but in general, the hero is relatively easy to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a matter of it's a couple of questions there to answer. You know, we know the value's definitely there as far as good counter to a Parasite in general, and just overall it's solid heroes you're getting at, but will it work out with their laning situation? Sure, Suicide's there, but yeah, is Oscar comfortable with it? So, Baba Ganoush, the captain here, drafting captain at least for Complexity, having to answer those questions. Not much time left, about 20 seconds here. They need that. They need the Suicide option probably, but also a carry is what they're looking for here too. So, whoa, they're going to go the carry option, and I can't say Shadowblade was on my mind, but Shadowblade coming out for Complexity. That's a little different.
It is. It really is. It's probably one of the absolute hardest carries in the game if you get 6 slotted. Like, nothing beats a Shadowblade full slotted. But the problem is that he's going to be more or less useless until he gets a few items up his sleeve. He does, however, he can jump the Swift Blade when he's spinning and deal damage to him. So I'm not sure if that's what they were thinking, like something to shut down the Suicide Swift Blade.
Okay.
Because I assume that Swift Blade is going to be in the Suicide role at least.
Yeah.
Unless this is a yet another offensive tri-lane by Recent Gaming. It could be. Because usually when they pick Puppet Master or Corrupted Disciple, that kind of indicates that they want to go offensive. And the Tempest is a defensive forester as well, so there's definitely opportunity for it. And now when they got Shadowblade in Moira lane, that's not really optimal for early aggression either. So I actually think that Recent Gaming is gonna put on some aggression here early on. And there's the Cthulhuphant. Nice.
Yeah, they agree in the end. It's just too much value to pass up right there. So very likely going to be that Suicide option. But yeah, you do see the Puppet Master, speaking of carries, the final pick for Imbo Boy over there. Going to be playing it here for Recent Gaming. So, apparently Oscar. No, he's reconnecting right now. Can he get in time, though, is the question. Oh, boy, 10 seconds. They need to swap. If he's able to reconnect in time, maybe, but it doesn't look like it. A little too slow, unfortunately. So we are going to have to do a remake right here.
Yeah.
As obviously he is not going to play the carry role, which I'm sure he could do. But
yeah, okay, never mind. Yeah, Formless is on Cthulhuphant right now.
Yeah, no, they got to swap it up still. So we will be doing the remake here. But yeah, Shadowblade. That's very interesting what you say about the whole 6-slotted idea and how, if that's the case, you could argue that he's the strongest carry even on the scene.
It's not far away, at least. I can't think of any hero that could actually beat him.
No, yeah, I mean, I can see why. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that definitely come into play. If you're talking like just straight up, like 1 versus 1, then yeah, I could definitely see that. I think his ultimate too, honestly, is one of the more underrated abilities in the game as far as how frequently you can use it, and in a sense how you can kind of abuse it almost, because the idea, you buy an item, you use your ultimate, and then you sell the item right away. But depending on what focus you want to go, say agility, you buy a dancing blade if you happen to have the gold saved up, you use your ultimate, and then you sell it, things like that, and it works, and you should do that, honestly, as the game progresses. So I'm excited to see how that works out here with Formless.
Yeah, the ultimate scales incredibly well when it comes to late game, seeing as it is percentage-wise from an attribute. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to play this one out. If I'm Recent Gaming, especially now when there is a little bit of a remake situation here that should be going over the drafts, I feel like complexity side is relatively straightforward. You cannot really set Shadowblade in any other lane than in the safe lane. Mm-hmm. So as long as you address that problem, I feel like Recent Gaming should come off to a relatively good start. Then Midas and Cthulhuphant is going to be in 1 versus 1 situations, and I think it's Midas versus Swiftblade in the mid, and the Cthulhuphant is going up versus... Who was it? Who was Recent Gaming's last pick?
Puppet Master.
Yeah, they had Puppet Master, Parasite, Aluna, and Swiftblade, and one more. I can't recall who they last picked. That was like zoned out.
Well, Puppet was their last pick as the carry.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who was before that. Oh, yeah, they made a captain's pick again, so another remake here, it looks like. Yeah, no, we'll wait and see. Maybe we get back into it, because that's one of those cases. Darn it! Well, actually, you know what? Look at the stream. Behemoth, Swiftblade, Parasite.
All right, Behemoth.
That's Behemoth,
okay.
So it was the 5th. Yeah, okay.
So Complexity not first picking the Behemoth or taking the Behemoth in this game then?
No.
That was definitely the shining star or shining hero from yesterday's series.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oscar landing those insane shockwave ultimates.
Yeah, we were kind of joking around a little bit in the pregame there. Oscar making the point that they heard our comments on his fissure stunts, how they're a couple of them were a little iffy at times, and kind of having fun with that. But
safe to say.
No, his shockwaves, yeah, especially when it came to that, the times to initiate were definitely appropriate, and he was very, very powerful with that, and big reason for the success last night. But yeah, obviously a different story today here. Again, this is a best of 3 now, and the better team moving on to the following round. And we'll play the winner of Sync versus Mystery Gang, which will take place, of course, on Thursday. But yeah, no, Shadowblade, again, it really is just a unique, I believe Quincy is even pointing out there, only 6 times we've ever seen this year. And I want to say Complexity's probably played it most of those times. I know that they have a little bit of history. I have seen them play it at least a couple times before. as well. So, you know, a hero like that, obviously that usually is the case where it's so unique that, you know, maybe 1 or 2 teams would play it here. So, yeah, only 5 teams even. So
I know that Flensmeister plays an excellent Shadowblade as well. He's sometimes trying it out or playing it in team matchmaking, and he's always having a dominating performance with it. But for some reason, Sync is just not too interested in drafting Shadowblade. Same goes for Gemini. I feel like that is one of the most underrated heroes in the game right now as well.
Yeah.
There's so many carry players that I know have the experience of playing a perfect Gemini, but for some reason people just don't pick it up. I mean, it's also good versus like a Suicide Swiftblade or something like that because it just goes straight through with the stun in the spin.
I wonder,
it's a physical stun.
I wonder if a little bit has to do with he's kind of a tedious hero. He's a hero with the whole splitting up, you know, the constant microing, having to think about that as well. And sure, very powerful, but, you know, there are other heroes that are, you know, up to that par anyways that are, let's just say, a little more simple. So maybe I wouldn't be surprised if that's a little bit of the mindset. Yeah, something like a Clanks, a Dark Lady, even you know, things like that where there's just like they're close enough to the point of I just don't want to have to try as hard or, you know, think as much kind of deal. I don't know if that's the case, but, you know, I do want, because you are right, you know, a hero like Gemini most certainly very powerful.
It's a good 1 versus 1 hero as well. It can easily take on Suicide heroes.
Yeah.
And come out of the lane with 300 gold per minute. And then when you hit level 6, if you have a correct micro, you can even get a solo kill. So it's got a lot of potential, I feel. Let's see here, Cthulhuphant. Of course, Tempest is the one that's going to be in the forest, and Oscar is the one playing the Cthulhuphant.
By the way, Quincy did point out that, sure enough, Complexity, the only team on record to play Shadowblade in the competitive scene. So there you go. Yeah, they happen to be the only team that has played it and ran it and done pretty well with it. I know a little bit more old school, but Tralf, even back when he was a co-caster and on the scene a little bit, he constantly hyped up this hero quite a bit. And that was before he actually got some decent buffs and a couple of changes here that most certainly helped his potential. So the really cool thing about Shadowblade, too, that I just absolutely love as a spectator is that he could be built, you know, different ways. He is the essence of strength, agility, or intelligence, of course. You know, you can build him any of those 3 options, really, and all 3 of them have validity to it, that they can work. Is there one form that you think just is more of the absolute shining? Maybe, was it that intelligence, perhaps, because of the range and the bonus damage and everything, or would you rather see agility or even strength?
Yeah, I think it depends on your team composition, depending on what you want to focus on building your items into, at least. But usually in team fights or in the start, at least, you're going to focus on that strength ability, just an AoE, lots of damage, and that's usually what you want to do. You can easily push towers with it as well. Then, of course, you can swap over to agility and intelligence if you want to stand further back in the team fight, but I feel like the strength is the main attribute, at least.
Okay.
At least for the start in the game. I mean, then obviously when you get a Genjuro and that kind of stuff, like you kind of transition more into that agility, and you could even go for the Harkon's Blade item choice if you want to focus on the ranged damage, but normally this is the strength that you go for, and you just go for that tanky presence more or less. A carry that deals damage but can also soak up a lot of damage for your team.
Yeah. Absolutely, no, I definitely get that there. So, and again, he has the option to kind of swap, you know, as the game picks up. Again, that's kind of just what makes the hero so unique there. With the idea and the concept. So another thing that I always like to look for whenever you happen to have a Shadowblade, again, not often, but the essence shift and whether or not he's going to have a target on either on his team or the opposition that he can really benefit from in terms of they're obviously going to have a lot of a certain stat. I'm looking in this game right now, and it's not really standing out to me here, so I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. Maybe if Midas happens to get some really good farm, you know, something like taking over the intelligence of him and getting that advantage. But I guess usually for the most part, you are going to be just doing it yourself. And, you know, even kind of doing that whole item idea that we talked about where you buy a certain item, you know, just to buff yourself and then sell it shortly after. But also Staff of the Master. I mean, that's another thing that I kind of wonder if we may potentially see here. Because I know that there is a lot of talk about that item on this hero, and it's actually, in some cases I've even heard it's kind of considered a core. So, I mean, what is your take on that?
I don't think that he's gonna pick up the staff. I don't have too much experience with the hero. It's,
okay.
I'm just gonna say that, but I don't think that he's going to go for the staff. I think there are more important items that you can pick up. And I mean, one of the reasons for why you want to go for staff is also because you like the extra stats. But Shadowblade in general, he got plenty of those stats.
Yeah.
Especially with that ultimate of his, of course. This is also the time where you kind of bang your head against the wall if you're Complexity, because they predicted an offensive tri-lane, I think, from recent gaming, and that's why they decided to put Shadowblade and Mora in the mid. But now in recent gaming actually is running the Suicide Behemoth. That's probably not too optimal, because the Shadowblade is going to be completely shut down, and he doesn't really have that like flash farm ability unless he goes for a Thunderclaw, and he's going to suffer big time in recovering.
Yeah, you see him constantly using that Soul Sight right here to get the range idea, a little bit of bonus damage. Also some, uphill vision if that happens to be the case. But you're right, though. It definitely seems like how this is kind of, we were talking about how it seems like a short lane Shadowblade is pretty much the obvious choice. But, perhaps expecting a little bit more of an aggressive lane, so they decided to change it up. But unfortunately, they match up against Reason's dual lane middle, and that could definitely cause some issues here. So we'll have to keep an eye on his farm and how that works for him. Parasite, nice job with the rune control, happens to get the invis room just before Moira, and takes it and will continue to farm, but preventing Moira from getting as the ultimate goal there, which he accomplished. But it does set up some interesting other lanes. The top lane, Midas versus the Behemoth. You definitely would think Fuzzy Slaw should have a very good time up here, I would expect.
Yeah, he should.
Lane.
I mean, as long as Behemoth gets experience, though, he's more than happy, I think. Or he maybe shouldn't be happy. Oh, look at that block, by the way. No, but he's gonna go for the Marcher's build here. He's only got a Logger's Hatchet before that.
Yeah.
So he's not able to contest the last hit, but at least he gets the full experience.
Yeah, you kind of see Quincy pointing out right there as far as Formless's build idea on Shadowblade, and again, it really just does scream that this hero, that's just the power of he can go so many different, the Dawnbringer to Wingbow to Frost of Skull, it's just all over the place as far as a lot of stats in a couple of different areas. So, but I mean, that makes sense. Dawnbringer, Formless alone, he's a player that loves that item, but it definitely seems like that this is, again, a hero that really does fit an item like that pretty well in the end. So. But again, enough about Shadowblade. We'll see more of him as the game progresses on here. But bottom lane, Swiftblade does end up matching up. I want to be playing the Swiftblade, by the way. That's also kind of interesting. But playing it here against Oscar on that Cthulhu font. And so far, middle lane actually, we do have some action here. Shadowblade going to pop that Q of his. And that Gargantuan blast to tank up because they're going on him is not going to be tanky enough, though. Imboboy, credit for the Bloodlust kill. The ganking Vagabond Parasite ends up coming in to assist for the kill. Imboboy, credit for it. So, good job ganking middle lane, though.
Yeah, well played by Tankafet. Nice rotation on his part. Let's see here at bot lane Cthulhu. He's having trouble versus this Swiftblade. And, I mean, even if those two heroes were evenly matched, I mean, it's going to favor the Swiftblade in the long run, because he's going to be able to do a lot more with his farm when it comes to the mid and late game than Cthulhu is. Cthulhu needs a good start.
Yeah.
But he's already struggling versus another melee hero, and I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to happen. I think it should be more even than it currently is, at least.
Yeah, it can, especially, I mean, you have to factor in a little bit of that Parasite, of course, being down here, and, maybe that's been on his mind. I don't know if he's necessarily poked in here a whole lot, but if anything, being on the mind at least, maybe him playing a little bit more scared because of that, but yeah, if it was just a true 1v1 with not much to worry about there in that sense, I definitely think that is a valid point. But, I mean, ultimately, not too far behind. 24-6, 19-6 is the comparison there. But it's safe to say Tempest definitely going to have a pretty big role here, I think, for Complexity, especially with the start here and the Shadowblade not necessarily having the greatest impact. You already see the rotations, in fact, happening. Midas is sent middle, and sure enough, Shadowblade heads towards the top lane to get some free farm up here. So it did take them a little bit longer, but Complexity ultimately does make the transition. And are you even almost a little surprised that they were so late on this movement? I mean, seems like
Oh, yeah. It's a tough decision, because if you're going to start running up there straight away, I mean, it's going to hurt Midas by quite a bit. I think that was the main concern of their part. Like, if he doesn't have money for the TP early on, then he's gonna have to run over to the mid lane as well. But yeah, I almost feel like Shadowblade, as soon as they saw how the lane shaped up, they should have rotated up here to the top lane.
Yeah. Well, up here, and right now, absolutely getting free farm. Obviously, we do see Behemoth. He's rotated into the jungle. Understandably, again, he's not going to be able to match up too well against a Shadow Blade, especially with the Moira nearby. So, trying to get some farm elsewhere. Maybe even stack up a little bit for Parasite even. And also perhaps set up a gank middle. But I will say Zane level 5. Really not too shabby in that sense either. And he's managed to get some pretty good levels right here. Cthulhu Fun, speaking of him, he happens to hit level 6 in the same time, but having to fall back to the tower as Swiftblade pressuring him pretty well. But it seems like as far as lane control goes, Oscar is keeping the lane quite pushed up, and that's why the experience is doing so well. But I will say Only does continue to do very well on creep farm.
Yeah, Only is spinning every single wave more or less as well. So he's just constantly pushing the tower and constantly pushing the lane at least to make sure that Cthulhu has the last hit in tower range. And even though Cthulhu like eats one of his own creeps every single time that Hookem is up, Only is still at 315 gold per minute, so he probably has a perfect record in terms of last hitting. I like the fact that Tempest now is pushing the top lane as well. He needs to be careful with his positioning though, he shouldn't be tanking the tower there. But I really feel like they need to make something happen from Complexity side before Parasite starts snowballing and like really start running around the map. And of course as well, when Behemoth hits that portal key timing, then it's going to be more than impossible to push. He actually went for a Chalice though on Behemoth, so it's gonna be, portal key is gonna take some time.
Yeah, not going to be happening anytime in the near future here for Zane. So despite being level 6, the idea of the shockwave threat, not necessarily too much to worry about. Bottle on Swiftblade, 30.3% of games. Interesting. As he does have it here once again. So yeah, for how aggressive pointing out there with that spin that he's using, Bottle definitely does make sense right here. And keeping the regen up, happens to be level 7, also finishing the Ghost Marchers right there. Midas, in the meantime, he's knows something's up. Parasite, I don't know if he actually spotted the Parasite right there or not. But Parasite does have a Wild Hunter nearby. Going to invis in right here, and now Midas in some trouble. He's pushed up pretty far. Puppet Master, though, couldn't get in range. And good movement here from Fuzzy Sloth. I don't think he even realizes how close to death he is. Parasite's going to open, actually. He is going to be fine, though. That was close to being turned on.
Yeah, that's a face hug cooldown on 1 minute now, though. So he's going to have to be passive for the rest of the time. That gives Complexity a little bit of a, well, safer mindset, at least, for the next minute or so here. I don't think Reason are going to put up too much aggression. There is a tri-stacked Ancients now over at Reason sides as well, but I don't think that they have anyone that can actually take it for quite some time. Puppet Master is not going to go for the Whispering Helm. He's going to go for Assassin's Shroud straight away.
Well, I would think honestly, if you're Behemoth here, go over Fissure, Shockwave, get some assistance maybe too, but your Shockwave you're not going to be looking to use here in the near future, I don't think, especially without a portal key. So I think you could argue that might be the best, honestly, use of the resources there, but not going to be doing it at least just yet. So yeah, we'll see how long those stay stacked. I mean, that is one of those things, back to the Stay Green days, that seemed like they especially were just so good at valuing, and they would stack it up ASAP, especially with heroes like Master of Arts. They were known for go over, do them as soon as possible, and then keep it refreshing, basically. But in a case like this, you stack it early. I mean, it's good to have them stacked, but if you're not necessarily farming it for the next 5-10 minutes even, then, what good is that, honestly? But
agreed. He got our Chalice as well, so he can just keep on fissuring those Ancients. I mean, he's better than what he's doing right now. He's putting a little bit of pressure down here, but I don't really feel like Behemoth's presence is having an impact. I mean, they would have been able to do the same thing with just Parasite and Swiftblade. So I agree with you. He should definitely be looking to get those Ancients instead. He just work towards the portal key.
Yeah. I'm going to port back to the top lane for now, because a little bit of a push is happening. I mean, Behemoth's pretty good at stopping that at least somewhat. Not going to get any kills by any means, but trying to delay it here. Throws out the Fissure Stun. Not the greatest block necessarily, but in the end, it does scare them off enough to ultimately protect the tower, as also Swiftblade does run in here. So I do wonder what kind of build Onmi is going to go for. Again, the fact that Onmi is playing it in the first place is a little bit different. It's not a hero you expect to see him on, especially being more of that middle player. But what kind of build idea are we going to see from him? Will he go that portal key, more the initiator route? Is actually Moira, she's probably dead if she kills this Wild Hunter right here. He's waiting.
But, yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Go for it.
Yeah, he's waiting. Maybe now he can just jump. Yeah, there we go. 1, 2, 3. Auto attack. Gets the kill. And Shadowblade's like, wait, what? Where did he come from? Man, nice kill there from Matthias. So good patience.
Yeah,
Waiting for the
I mean, Fuzzyslot ran this hero in the mid yesterday as well, and he's also the mid player for Complexity, and it worked out very well for Complexity. So maybe Reason was more or less thinking the same thing. They wanted to give it a try themselves. I think that he's going to go for the offensive route. After all, it's Oni, and he has loves to do this. I mean, we saw his Deadwood yesterday, going for that, what's it called, Lex Talionis, the portal key, and then he was just sitting in the enemy forest throughout the entire game. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a portal key and maybe the Elder Parasite build.
Yeah. That does seem like his style, you're right. So 1,400 gold saved up. It does seem like a portal key, a very valid option. Speaking of that, Behemoth, still a ways from it. Fuzzy Sloth also the same area as well as Oscar. I'm sure we're expecting to see several portal keys here in this game, of course, as in most, but no one having it just yet. Swiftblade could be the first one to reach it, though. Speaking of upgraded items, though, Puzzle Box just finished on Paris' side. He's good at doing this. The Strider's Blood Chalice, and right away the Puzzle Box to follow. But that is a very early Puzzle Box, even though going to Strider still seems like Tankafet's having some pretty good farm.
Just going to find Behemoth here.
Ooh, Vildrock goes off, though, and I don't know if they spawned him or no. They just happen to be running mid for the kill, but Midas is going to be fine. And it's the fun, not going to get a solo kill.
Why is Oscar running away? I feel like he should keep the pressure up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's afraid, but as long as he stays uphill there, I think he should be fine.
Interesting. Formless actually going for the Energizer here. It doesn't necessarily... I don't know. It almost feels like a funky item on Shadowblade, especially who's now sitting in the short lane and just trying to farm.
Yeah, I agree. Usually this is like the standard build for Shadowblade. You just go for the Steam Boots into the Energizer to get that extra movement speed. But yeah, in this game, especially when they're just sitting back and I don't see any pressure coming out from Complexity anytime soon, then yeah, I feel like he should have gone for something more of a farming item. I don't know if Rune Cleaver is something that Shadowblade usually picks up, but I mean, Thunderclaw I guess works as well, if you want that flash farm ability.
Well, see, that's kind of the interesting thing. Well, yeah, I agree with Thunderclaw. Midas, holy crap, that Voodoo Puppet, man. But yeah, Imba Boy getting the kill. But even the power throw from Aluna doing quite a bit of damage right there. But good catch on a Midas, and you see a 3-0 hero kill lead now for a reason. 13 minutes in, but that's the cool thing about Shadowblade too. Again, the Staff of the Master, it actually does make his Q, the Gargantuan Blast, a cleave ability. So that you know, if you weren't thinking of going the Rune Cleaver, you could argue that you might as well just get Staff at that point. But I do think Thunderclaw actually could arguably be the better option ultimately, you know, being much cheaper in the first place. But again, going the Energizer first, so it's we'll see how he kind of progresses from here. But you know, with the Energizer first, it almost feels like he's gonna even maybe go something like a Shrunken Head next. But you know, if that's the case, then his farming potential really going to go down the road.
Yeah, look at him, by the way. He's in trouble up here at the top lane. I don't think that they got enough damage. Okay, Puppet Monster's going to pour it in as well. Now they definitely got the damage output.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good.
To be honest, I feel like, I mean, there wasn't much Zane could have done there. I mean, he just had to try to get a stun out. Yeah. Because otherwise, Shadowblade would have ran away. Because he sensed something there, at least. Seeing as Puppet Monster was missing from mid and all. So it still was a nice attempt, I think. I don't know if it was Tankafet that kind of lost track of him.
Yeah, I think so. You're right. I mean, again, that's a case where spectator we're like, oh, what was he doing? But I think as him, he kind of just hoped that you might as well try Freddy. You know, he was dark. It was dark vision for him, so figured he would give it an attempt. Unfortunately, just on the wrong side, blocking his teammate, and Shadowblade's fine. But top lane now. Swiftblade, by the way. You know, speaking of those triple stack ancients, he actually steals the Hellborns triple, and that's another reason, another argument for that whole idea that, you know, stacking it early on in the game to just kind of leave it is it's risky for that reason too, that they get it stolen here.
Yeah, look at the top lane. I think that.
Ooh,
damn.
Nice.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't get why the Legion team is not taking their freaking actions. Like, Behemoth would have had a portal key at this point if they would have just started doing it. I mean, it would have been tri-stacked already once again. If they would have just taken it when you said it, like when he hit level 6 and with the shockwave. There's really no reason for why not to take it. Like, there's no pressure whatsoever from Complexity side at this point. So why not just walk over there? So he still haven't used his shockwave a single time this game. Just go for it. Take help of Aluna. I mean, she got a level 3 power throw. That's quite a lot.
Yeah, choosing. Oh, they might be heading that direction now, figuring he is kind of close. Obviously, cleaning these up would definitely guarantee the portal key here, but no, never mind. Gonna leave them for now. So instead, we'll roam elsewhere. Look to continue to pick it up farm, but definitely Both teams even missing on the resources, but I mean, ultimately it kind of works out a little bit better for Reason here, where again the fact that they at least stole the Hellborn stack, the triple stack Ancients on the Hellborn side, so Swiftblade got them like we were talking about, so that works out there. And by the way, he actually goes the Abyssal Skull. Can't say I saw that coming from him, especially being the player that he is and his style and everything, but going.
It stacks up very well with the Parasite. Usually Tankafet is the kind of player that goes for the aura builds though. But yeah, Abyssal Skull just really great item in general. So
I don't know if he's doing like Parasite's like helping him farm the jungle right here. I don't know if that's intended or if they're just like competing for last hits, but seems a little.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Recent Gaming are really missing up on a big timing here.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they had. I mean, if they would have just farmed, I mean, I guess they're waiting for the Behemoth pull key, but they could have had it for several minutes ago if they just like went for those ancient kills. And now like Assassin's Shroud was the choice of item for Puppet Master, so he does not have the ability to take ancients quite yet. If he would have gone for the Whispering Helm, I'm pretty sure that he would have already had done Assassin's Shroud as well almost. But going for very defensive builds, and I'm not entirely sure if I like it. Complexity Gaming definitely has the late game, I think.
Yeah, it's Shadow Blade, maybe not crazy scaling right here just yet, but he did go the Firebrand now, so definitely some more damage enhancement there. And the Essence Shroud, I'm sure he's doing agility. Yeah, he has a 16 agility right here, so he's amping up his damage quite a bit in the meantime.
Oh, Moira, Recent Gaming coming over.
Is that the real Moira? Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about, but
I thought for sure that was the illusion, but that was the actual real Moira.
And the illusion was up, like it wasn't off cooldown, so there was really no point for him to be that offensive.
Well, it forces Reason to do the Ancients, I guess, so that kind of works out for them too. They're like, oh yeah, these were still here. Let's do them now. Almost got stolen. That would have been really awkward. But they get them. Spreading the farm, spreading the love. Portal keys now coming, though. Behemoth got his, and Swiftblade did purchase his, I thought. Oh, you know what? He's going bottom lane, and he's going to buy it right here. Yeah, that makes sense. So he sold it.
Yeah, and Midas got his, and Cthulhu got his as well. So there's a lot of portal keys on the table right now.
Yep. Coming out right here. Look at this bottom lane, man. If they continue pushing, they would have definitely been jumped. But they happen to fall back and take out the one Dragon Ancient that was left behind.
3 people holding hand. Taking the dragon. They're looking to jump on the Swiftblade, but this is smart play by Reason with Stain sitting next by. And Moira is still level 5, still not level 6.
There we go. There's the jump. It's going to actually backfire initially, even without Behemoth coming in. And Behemoth actually being fairly late, but Swiftblade's like, don't worry, I got it. I'm going to just portal key in, press R, get the kill. But now Swiftblade in trouble. Behemoth, oh, the shockwave is not going to be the prettiest, though. He missed Midas completely. He got a lot of creep kills at the farm, but the Elemental Void will pull them in. Behemoth goes down, as does Swiftblade. And the 2-for-1 exchange is successful right there. So it was a beautiful start, I mean, but Zane, that really wasn't the best initiation from him.
No, it wasn't. He should have kept his distance and just used his Fissure to try to secure an escape route for Swiftblade, but he should definitely not have put himself that offensive. I mean, even if he would have hit the shockwave, there was no damage left from Swiftblade. Both his spin and his ultimate were on cooldown, so the best they could have been able to get from that was just Swiftblade escaping.
Ooh, Searing Light on Shadowblade. Not an item we ever see. It's usually not built this way if you're going Dawnbringer, but he likes it this game. And,
yeah, he's just going to focus on the farming finally. He probably should have gotten this a little bit earlier. I mean, I don't think he has activated his Energizer even once so far this game. But at least he's keeping the gold per minute high. It's 420 gold per minute now, and he's closing in on Puppet Master. I mean, in Recent Gaming, they don't have any push ability. Like, they do have the Parasite, but compared to last series that I played yesterday, where Tankafet was constantly able to take those early towers, he just cannot right now because there's a Cthulhu on the other side with a pull key. So wherever he goes, he's just going to be picked off.
Yeah.
So Recent Gaming, like, they are in a very, very passive mode right now. And I don't think it's going to benefit them. I really don't. I mean, I know that Immoboy can carry very well with the Puppet Master, and the same goes for Swiftblade, but I don't think the Parasite is going to have much of an impact this game. And we talked about it. He had such an early portal, or not a portal, he had such an early puzzle box, which I assume is level 3 now. Level 2 or level 3. So, but they still haven't gotten any value out of that whatsoever.
Yeah, it seems like we're seeing that case on both sides. I mean, like some items being picked up here that are a little bit questionable and, you know, not really having the highest impact just yet. I mean, both teams, again, just in their play style, their movement, their farming here in general, it definitely has some question marks still going. So I don't know if it's just because it's the first match of the day and they're kind of shaking the rust off here for today or whatever, but it does seem like a little bit of a sloppy game so far. But Complexity right now, they're going to be pushing top secondary tower. And they want to defend it. Reason does. Behemoth is nearby. You see some TPs coming out right here. He's going to stop the finish stun, though. That was huge. That was really big. Puppet Master, in fact, is going to go back in now. They get the bottom tower kill. There goes the middle tower kill. Bottom lane. You see Cthulhu and Tempest. They're by themselves all of a sudden. Cthulhu's going to be fine. Tempest, not so much, though. Too much damage. Moira got there a second too late. Now that was a pretty big play from Zane. Coming out right there.
It was. Well played on his part, but still very sloppy from Complexity doing these kind of mistakes. Like, they have been playing so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? They've been playing so patient for quite some time right now, and for some reason, like, even when Elemental Void was on cooldown, they just decided to start pushing secondary tower all over on the Legion side. Like, that's the lane that's furthest away from their base, and Recent Gaming, they got 2 secondary towers for the price of 1, and it didn't even get it down. So 2 towers for nothing and a kill on Tempest. There was just no point in doing that kind of play.
Yeah, it worked out very well for Reason there, and you know, this is definitely not the most high-octane game by any means. Only 6-2 hero kills at 22 minutes in, but Reason Gaming doing enough right now for a 6,300 gold lead and a 4,300 experience lead. So I will say Shadow Blade, you know, 410 gold per minute, it's definitely fairly impressive. But at the same time, he's kind of been around this mark. It's kind of been going up and down around this. So it's not like he has been snowballing really, and he's not becoming too scary at this point. I mean, a full Dawnbringer, definitely a good item. Bottom lane, by the way, they're trying to jump Swift Blade, but he just juked a little too well. Avoided the transmute, and he's going to be fine. This is an illusion Swiftplay left behind, so really not a big deal there. Going to kill it off, at least get some Ancient spawn. But another thing, too, is, okay, they do have 2 tower kills, but they're going to be going for a third one right here at the bottom lane. It's still the, they've only gotten the first towers killed, though, at this time.
I don't get why they are doing this, though. Like, why are they grouping up as 5 people? I just don't see the point in it. And Recent Gaming are the masters of counter pushing. Like, they are the best team out there. Every single time they're so disciplined on just counter pushing every single lane. As soon as they see 2 people on the same lane on the enemy team, they're just like, okay, counter push, go, 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 push out all the lanes. And Complexity, like, I feel like they have the late game. If they get a Restoration Stone on Tempest, that's going to be near impossible to deal with if you're a Legion. They do have the Swift Slashes and the Parasite, but usually those 2 heroes are going to be in the middle of the fight, and Parasite can only cancel 1 ultimate. And of course, they got Shadow Blade on top of things.
Yeah.
To just deal tons of damage. So I feel like it should be the opposite direction. Like, Recent Gaming are the ones that should feel forced to actually group up as 5 and make something happen.
Yeah. We see right here, Shadow Blade again. Only the 16 charge is still on that Essence Shift. I feel like actually it should even be a little bit higher, honestly. And, you know, something to keep in mind. And again, I know Formless knows this, but you know, making sure to use the form that you want first. So in this case, if you want the agility, use the Faint Siphon first to even get more, of course, benefit from the Essence Shift. And haven't seen him also kind of abuse that idea of buying items. I know he's been sitting on 1,500 gold at points, you know, back in the well, and you know, kind of just see him run somewhere. So it's one of those things. It's sure maybe it is minor, but you figure playing a hero like Shadow Blade, you know, it's just why not? It only takes a second, and it would boost your stats by just a little bit right there. Essence Shift itself, it's only a 30-second cooldown, so it's not like you want to save it for, you know, something later on. But anyway, it's kind of just a picky thing as well right there. But in the end, not necessarily the biggest deal in the world once again, but.
No, but small things adds up, and all small things together make something big. So I definitely agree. I mean, that's something that you should strive after. If you want to be a top-tier team, then yeah, then you shouldn't really be doing anything that might not help, so to say.
Oh, yes.
Let's see. There is a shipstick coming up on Midas in the near future as well. I feel like that's going to be quite big. I feel like the Hellborn team got the team fights. As long as they play discipline, they just sit back and wait for Recent Gaming to make something happen. Of course, there is the puzzle box from Parasite making a lot of trouble when it comes to map vision, but as long as Complexity picks up a bounty of their own, I think they should be fine to just sit back and farm.
Yeah, I really feel like he could be around 20 or so plus charges right here on the agility. Again, I'm kind of getting caught up in that. Anyways, Swift played.
You just want to make him too good, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love this hero, and again, for a guy that he's the only player to play it on the scene right now, I just want to make sure he's maximizing the potential, man, for a hero with
so
a lot
the other
of
teams see the potential as well and picks it up.
Portal key picked up by What You Got, by the way, on Tempest, so they definitely want the opportunity here to get a big ultimate and definitely climb back into this game and, if anything, even it out and give themselves some momentum here. With a big Elemental Void, that could definitely work. We'll see if the opportunity comes up. Shadowblade's sitting on 2,800 gold, speaking of him right now, so he has enough for the Dawnbringer, obviously, but either changing his mind now as far as what he gets next, or I don't know, but Shadowblade needs to be careful right here. Uh-oh. They're going to be jumping in. There's the face hug. Tempest is nearby. See immediately the instant regret from Tankafed. He's going to get caught by stun, though. They're going to be forced to fight this. Jumping with the faint side fun. Here comes the Swift Slash, though. Big shockwave counter. And Shadowblade running away immediately. He's on the run completely. In the meantime, the Arcane Vortex catches Swiftblade. Down goes Midas, though. Tempest already picked off. And now Cthulhu Fun. He's on the run. They're spread out completely. And he'll go down to Shadowblade. Did nothing that fight other than just try to survive. Lost 3 teammates in the process, and Reason Gaming now going to start pushing into the base here.
Yeah, well played on their part. More or less just baiting the facehug. No, but failed facehug, or what's it called? Is it called? Yeah, the facehug. Actually paid off in the end. The Tempest blinking in a little bit too deep. He didn't see Reason Gaming. They had vision, complexity for everyone entering their forest, but I think that everyone was smoked up or using the Assassin Shroud for Puppet Monsters. So well played by Reason, and they are probably going to get these racks.
Man, it's 3,000 gold. Just do it, man. Anyways, melee racks goes down right here. Yeah, maybe it is going to go down most likely. You see Shadowblade is going to jump in and try to make them pay for staying it around a little bit too long. Oh, the Elemental one, it missed Luna. Portal key on Luna. She gets away. Behemoth is caught, but are they going to have enough damage? They will. They will actually get the kill on him at least. So should have been 2 kills, but Luna a little too quick right there with the reaction in the end. But they got the melee racks. Again, they push in and now,
yeah, the melee racks is really the big thing here. I feel like complexity is at times like struggling a little bit from the whole map vision thing. Like apart from other teams, I feel like in complexity's case, it's only their support player that actually picks up wards. But in the other teams, like it's always like a team effort. Or in like it's focused on the supports placing the wards, but there's a lot of middle players, for example, that I know in top teams right now that like buys their own wards and just they have the pull key available. They are able to reach places where like a single support isn't. So I think that's something that complexity really needs to work on, because it feels like over and over they just get caught by these kind of like odd gank attempts by the enemy team.
Yeah. What's being delivered out to Shadowblade? He did end up getting the full shrunken head here, so figuring it's at a point where needs that here and gonna pick it up. So he definitely is ready for combat. And again, he really hasn't been able to fight yet this game. In fact, his hero damage, I wouldn't be surprised if it's down there. 7% is actually not as bad as several others, but that's poke damage here and there. Obviously, when it comes to actual fights, as we saw, the last fight was the first one that actually really kind of took place this game, and well, simply again just running the whole time. So Kongor is going to be attempted right here. Full demonic breastplate on Tankafed. So good at getting that as soon as possible. Swiftblade, he bought something. What is on the courier? Okay, a full shrunken himself coming out to him as well. So gonna have a couple of those now as well. That fish, I don't know if you saw that, but the puzzle box minis just ran right up the ledge around the fissure stud.
Oh.
They just ran out of the nice. They ran out of the Kongor pit without actually being able to escape from it. That was funny. Anyways, but they get the token of life. That's on Puppet Master now. And just another tool for them to work with here. What is that? Words per minute. Huh. Interesting. So that's an interesting stat, one we've never really seen before, but making sure to keep down the vision as much as possible was pretty much the point of that stat there. They're the 3rd best team at doing it, apparently. Reasons.
Placing wards. What was it?
Yeah, that was so wards per minute, I think is what the stat was.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go. So Reason 2nd, Complexity 3rd, and BMG 1st. Sync not on that list. Something to note.
Yeah, I mean, Insania is usually not paying too much attention to the wards. It's just that their team, like, they have such good map awareness that they don't really need wards. No, but their communication, I don't know, it sounds odd, but even though they don't have necessarily all the wards, they always keep the lanes pushed out and they always have control over the map anyways.
Yeah.
And Insane is usually the sport that focus a lot on items.
That is very true. That he does here. Bottom lane push. You see Region Gaming, why waste time? They got the top melee racks. Now they're working their way bottom. They got the token of life again on Puppet Master. Zane, he's looking for that jump. He's waiting for Puppet Master, acting like he's all by himself. That's clearly not the case. And Complexity's aware of that.
Elephant's going to jump in from the side now. He's going to go for the Parasite.
Yep, he's going to eat Parasite or the Creep at least, and, and Parasite just walks away, so not really the biggest
but no
deal.
reason Gaming can sit back and wait for the next catapult. It's coming right here, next wave here. No, they're actually going to fall back. I don't know if I like that decision.
Yeah.
If they got a token of life with 3 minutes left, I think they should go for it. I mean, they're already taken down the base tower. They can just keep doing the same thing, just take down the middle racks. I mean, they don't really have anything to lose.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to lose a team fight as long as they play it defensively.
Again, I know I'm kind of harping on this, but Formless right there, he actually just uses S-Shift again recently. Now he has 41 charges, so he went from having 16 charges to 41 charges. And, you know, it's just like,
Damn.
You could have had a lot of in-between there to help enhance, you know, more and more in-between. I'm just saying, but, yeah, no, 41 charges now. I mean, so they're plus 41 agility more so is a better way to put it even. He is hitting pretty hard when it comes to that right-click potential, so I do gotta argue. I don't know if that's actually his best option, though. To be frank, I honestly want to say he should be prioritizing the intelligence form, because it seems like right now, I mean, he seems like wants to kind of sit in the background a little more, play almost that range style.
There is a lot of physical armor in this team.
Oh my God! Well, armor's not gonna do him much good right there. He just got absolutely bursted. Down goes Moira. Double tap for Imba Boy, and you see the GG's being called. Clearly, it's just not the game for Complexity here. Reason Gaming definitely deserving of the credit for sure. Fantastic game themselves.
The Starburst ultimate.
Yeah. There you go. Some action ended there, but obviously the game already over at that point. But Reason up 1-0 now in this best of 3.
Yeah, very impressive performance on their part. The only thing that I could, or I would want them to look into is like optimizing the action stacks early on into the game. But other than that, just played phenomenal. And I really feel like if you're Complexity, you should look into banning that Parasite, because every single game Tankafet is just having such a dominating performance, and he's just buying so much map control and space for his teammates. Like, he's constantly going around. I mean, he got a first blood in the mid, then he picks up an early puzzle box and he just uses it to get counter wards over all the map, and yeah, always